Hi, my name is Lindsay, and today I will be showing you how to do a flawless, long-lasting base. So I always start, of course, with my morning moisturizers. I have applied those about 30 or so minutes ago, so it's nice and really set and sunk into my skin. Now, after that, I will do my primers. Now, right now, we are up in Seattle. We live in Seattle right now, so I'm a little drier. So I have applied the Lait-creme hydrator and the L'Oreal Lumi Glotion. I kind of mixed those together and I had applied it to my face. I also applied the Milani Conceal and Perfect right where I have my bigger pores. It's a nice hydrating poreless primer, nothing too heavy. So those have been sitting on my face for a bit, and then of course my Wet n Wild that I use every day underneath my eyes, something very light. Since I already had a moisturizer underneath my eyes, my retinol and everything, don't want to add too much more, so this nice very light hydrating primer, I just put a little dot on my fingers and dab it under my eye. Now the thing is to let all these primers actually sit in your skin for a bit, really soak in before you start applying anything else. Now all my primers and moisturizer have been on my skin for a bit while I was getting everything set up. So I'm going to go ahead and start with my base. Now I do have this lovely kind of reminiscence of a little pimple left behind. So the first thing I am going to do is I'm just going to throw a little concealer on it. Now, if it was redder, I would try to add a green color corrector to combat that redness. But since it's kind of going away, I'm just going to do the tiniest little dab right on top with my concealer. I'm going to kind of let that set. And in the meantime, I am going to apply a cream bronzer. This is the Denona Color Fusion Vision Flush, but it's in the color Nutcracker. It's kind of iridescent, it's hard to read. So I'm just going to apply that kind of where I like to add my bronzer. Now I like to underpaint. I find it is the most natural looking. So I always usually underpaint just a little bit, nothing too crazy. So now I'm going to take my little Sephora 47 brush and I'm just going to kind of push that into my skin. I don't need worry about, completely blending it out because I still need to apply my foundation. So I'm just going to push it into pretty much the area I applied it, not moving it around too much. Just keep it in that targeted area that I applied it. Let me get all that blended in. Now this one I'm a little lighter and I'll kind of move it around a little bit because I don't want too much of a shadow here, but just enough to kind of help define my very small jaw and chin. And then here too, just kind of press it in. And then I kind of drag a little bit up into my socket. Just to kind of blend everything nice and smooth. Trying to look as natural as possible. Even though we're adding a little bit, even though it is makeup, you can look so natural. Alright, I got that in. Now my next thing I'm going to do is I am going to blend this a little bit out. Now I'm going to really concentrate right where I put it. I'm just going to take this KJH Spectrum brush number 29 and just kind of push it in right there. Not really move it around too much, just concentrate it right in that section. There we go. Now I'm going to add my lovely color corrector. This is just the A.Girl Pro Conceal in the color Peach Corrector. I do have dark under eye circles. I always have. Just a nice little, hand-me-down. Close. So I'm going to use my fingers, usually my ring fingers, because they are the most delicate. And I'm going to just gently blend that in, but keeping it right where I need it. And I never really add too much right here at my creases or anything, because the more product you add there, the more it's going to crease, and the more it's going to want to crease later on throughout the day. Alright, now I'm going to add my foundation. This is the Tower 28 Broad Spectrum Sunny Days and in color Melrose. So this is a beautiful, lightweight, not too glowy, but not too matte foundation. It has SPF 30. Now, I always have these little palettes. Keeps my hand from getting too dirty. Probably added a little too much, but it's fine. Now, I am going to grab a foundation brush. Oh, it was staring right at me. This is the Rose and Bin brush, the C42. So I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tinted moisturizer, and I like to rub it around on the palette, kind of even it out. Then I'm going to take my brush and pounce it in there. It is completely distribute on my brush. It is very light, nothing heavy, nothing gooped in one spot. And I'm going to kind of just lightly dab that onto my skin, the areas I did not apply that bronzer. I'm just going to pounce that in, get it distribute throughout the brush. You don't want to see a whole bunch, because when you see too much, you ended up applying a glob in one area and trying to blend that out. See, it's already distributed, nice and soft. And then when I put it on, I don't have a chunk to blend out or a large amount of product in one space to blend out. You have to do less work, less blending, and it just works so nicely. And I'm just going around the edges of that bronzer I put down, and then gradually going more into the bronzer area just to make sure it's nice and smooth and just looks one with the skin. I'm pretty much all done with this. Now I will have a little bit of like a residue left behind, which is fine. I do like that, because if I need to adjust or I need to conceal or fix anything, I do have some of that left behind. I have some redness on my neck. I'm still trying to figure out the whole very much dry weather up here. Moving from Florida, where it's always humid, never dry. My skin is still trying to figure out what to do. All right, so the next thing is I usually like to add my blush. So today I'm going to use the Nude Sticks Pink Ice. And I'm going to take my brush. This is just the Real Techniques Instapop Cheek brush. And I'm just going to get it on the brush. Take it, and then I kind of do dab it on my wrist a little bit just to distribute it so it's not all in one area. Just a nice soft pink. I don't usually like to take the stick and then rub it on my skin, because a lot of times you can disturb your foundation and your blend underneath. And that's not something I would like to do. I'm just going to take a little bit across my nose, kind of where I naturally blush. I love blush, so I'm never shy about blush. All right, I'm going to rub my hand a little bit. Now concealer. So I already did my corrective underneath my eyes. So because I did that, I don't need much concealer. So I'm just going to dab just a little bit in the darkest area. Right there. Darkest area. I'm going to let that sit for a couple seconds, nothing too long. I find it really kind of makes the pigment stick a little bit more, a little more, not heavier in pigment, but I just find it just stays better. It delivers a lot of more coverage to it. So I'm going to just let that sit a little bit longer. And I'm just going to take whatever's left on this brush from earlier, that color corrector, or that concealer that I had on my acne spot down there, and I'm just going to rub it over my eyelids, because you don't want too much up here, because this is also going to crease if you add too much product. Alright, and now I'm going to take this same brush and I'm going to focus this concealer right where I put it. I'm going to focus and just push it in. I'm not being aggressive, I'm being really light. That is the thinnest skin. And now that I feel that is really covered, now I'm going to come out and I'm going to bring it out just underneath the eye, but also not right up to those wrinkles. And a little bit on the inner corner, because this always gets a little dark on me. And then drop it down to the crease of the nose. So you're making pretty much a triangle, but keeping most of the product right where you need it. I don't like to bring the product up to the crease, because even though it's not creasing right now, it can crease throughout the day with just, you know, motion of your face, talking. It will, no matter what, it will eventually crease. So the less amount of product there is the best. And plus, if you're doing an eyeshadow look, soft or bold, you're usually going to put shadow down there, so it will cover up any discoloration or help your eyeshadow look depending on your look. And then I just take whatever's left, I'm not adding more, and I just go right down the nose. Make sure everything's nicely blended, where you don't see the blush where it ends, you don't see the bronzer where it ends, you don't see the concealer where it ends. It's just all seamlessly blended together. That is the biggest thing, a nice seamless blend. So I'm going to get my powder ready. I'm going to use the Makeup by Mario Soft Blur Setting Powder in number 2 Neutral Light. Just going to pop that into the lid a little bit. Ooh, that was a lot. I have my powder puff ready. Now I'm going to take my fingers, my ring fingers again. I'm going to look up and gently dab around the lash line. This will remove any excess product that may be migrated up there, and then push in and blend out anything that might have crease. Because if you set those creases, they're done. They're there all day. So I'm going to take my powder and I'm going to push my puff in there. Then I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to gently kind of make sure it's right into that puff, and then lightly press it underneath the eye. I'm going to do that again. I got a little powder on my puff. Kind of work it in, then work it in again here. And gently press it into the eye. I am not using a lot of powder because, like I said many times already, too much product in that one area looks cakey. It just does not wear well throughout the day. So I'm just going to add a little bit more, but just down here. And I'm always pushing in. Pushing that powder into the skin. Now I'm going to take the bigger side. Now during the summer, I'll use the Huda Beauty powder. But since I'm really dry right now, that kind of dries me out too much. But in the summer, it's fine. So I'm going to take that powder, distribute it on my hand a little bit, and then press that into my chin to set my makeup. I get still a little shiny. I don't get oily, and I don't get anything like I used to when I lived in the South. I just press this all into the skin. I go a little bit at a time. You don't need much. And I am not also putting this on my bronzer and blush area. I am just putting this where I applied my foundation. Just enough to set it through the day, no transfer, no nothing. All right, so my face, my foundation, and my tinted moisturizer is set. Now I'm gonna set my bronzer, and I'm just gonna use a powder bronzer. I have this oldie but a goodie. This is the Park Princess little bronzing highlight palette. I mainly keep this thing around for these two shades here. I love these shades. They're amazing for brightening the under eye or brightening anything. So I'm going to take my Rose and Bin C40 and I'm going to put it into Princess Cut, which is where my finger, there it is, right there. Now I'm just going to lightly dab my bronzing brush in there. You're not going to see a whole lot. It's nice and distribute, and I'm just going to push that into where I put the bronzer earlier, that liquid bronzer. I'm going to do the same. I am not using a ton of bronzer because I already have bronzer down. This is just setting what I already have. And sometimes I'll flip it around. I just want to set so nothing moves, nothing transfer, and this helps make it last so much longer. My job is at a hair salon, and I work about an 8-hour shift on the floor, sometimes longer, because you know, before I leave, gotta clean and do towels and everything, and then when I come in, you gotta set everything up. So with the makeup, I'm easily doing a 12 or more hour day before I wash it off. From me putting it on to me washing it off, and this makes it last crazy. I am very impressed. I kind of got this nailed down, and I'm very proud of myself. Now I'm going to add my blush. So I try to find a blush that is about the same tone or color as the cream blush I found or I applied. And I'm going to use this NARS palette. This is like their Rising Star. This was from a couple Christmases ago. I actually got this at TJ Maxx. And it mainly is just because I love the color, the cover. But the colors in here are great. I'm going to use this color right here in the middle, which is called Famous. And I'm just going to use my Flower Beauty little powder brush. So I don't want to add too much. I'm just going to get it lightly on the brush. You can barely see it, but that's just going to set my blush that I put down. And then I'm going to pop over into this highlight a little bit. I'm going to kind of go back and forth and just do that just a little higher on the cheek. I'm not really looking to put a big highlight on. I'm going to kind of bring it up, go over the nose a little bit, and that is it. So everything is still just very seamless. You can't tell when one thing starts from the other. All right, so the next thing I usually do is I'm going to set my makeup, and this is just the Urban Decay All Nighter. Set that up, grab my handy dandy fan, and I kind of just dry it. I don't like to soften my face with the spray, just enough to kind of melt any powders or anything in. But that's the base. And I'll be right back, and I'm gonna show you the finished product, and we'll do. All right, I'm back. Sorry, I had to step away, finished up this look, and if you wanted to see how I did this look, I recorded it on Reel, so it should be on my IG soon. But to come away for this video, I always set my creams with powder, and I always use creams. And then setting it with that powder, like a cream bronzer, setting it with a powder bronzer, a cream blush, setting it with a powder blush. It makes a world of difference, and it makes everything last so much longer and stays so much longer. Another thing is I always work in light layers. I never glob on too much product at once, because if you put too much product on your face, you're gonna look like you have too much product on your face. That is a big thing for me. I always try to be mindful of my placement and try to keep that placement in that direct spot, because if I don't need it anywhere else, why would I put it anywhere else? It's just, makeup is makeup. You're always going to know that you are wearing makeup, but to make it last longer and look fresher as long as you can is the big goal. And just to give yourself the confidence. And if you feel like your makeup is not really lasting as long or looking a little more messy or cakey, it's going to take your confidence away. That's a big thing why I do makeup, is because it helps my confidence, especially my dark under eye circles, and it just gives me an outlet to kind of show and express myself. But I will be back with more tips and tricks and new little ideas for you. So if you could please like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it, and follow me on IG, Lindsay and Makeup. Thank you so much for stopping by. Bye.